your project, your band has been a recent discovery for me, man.
Yeah.
I got sent one of your latest videos for your upcoming album, and I
Okay.
don't even want to attempt to try to pronounce the album name.
Okay. It's 12 actually.
Just 12?
Yeah, it's easier because there's a 12 in front of the title. I
Mhm.
put it there because I knew that no one would be able to pronounce the name anyway. So it's easier for everyone just to have a name and the title is 12 and then the rest of it, but never mind.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great because I was looking it up and I'm like looking at the name and I saw 12 and then I saw and I was like, "Oh, dude, I feel like I would just butcher this and it would be disrespectful and I
Yeah.
don't."
Well, I know that it is just very alien for anyone outside of Hungary. So
Yeah.
never mind. It's very weird.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is I was sent one of the videos and you never know what you're about to experience with music. You never know what's going to happen, what's going to pop up. And it was such this great, groovy, just amazing song. And then I started to go back because I'm like, I'm preparing for talking to you. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, this, Thomas has written and made amazing albums. Like I keep reading comments and I look up stuff and I'm like, okay, let me dive back. So I start going back into some of like your older albums. My first experience to you wasn't really like heavy in your face metal. And then I go back and I'm like, oh my God, dude, this is crazy. The album, not Vol Vol
What do you mean?
Voldic. Yeah, so I went there because I kept reading comments on that.
Mhm.
So I went there and I was completely enthralled
Okay,
in
cool.
in that and just amazing how you combine these amazing riffs, dude. I have to say this before we start doing this. You are a lover of the riff, and I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, because we started as a black metal band, so it was
Mm,
pure black metal in the beginning. So of course we adore the riff and the power of the riff, and it is still there. So
mhm.
I really enjoy playing riffs.
Yeah, there were some moments where I'm sitting there and you know when like a melody will go a certain way and I love that you don't shy away from like the pinch harmonics and
Yeah,
those just and I am I am just a sap for like a good riff with a nice well-placed pinch harmonic. I
yeah. This is
just
it. That's our my root, and I think it's in the DNA. And once you like this kind of stuff, I think it just keeps on coming with you throughout the life. And we were in the beginning, we were pretty much enjoying the metal stuff, and well, I still have the same feelings. But on the other hand, I have other influences as well.
Mhm.
So it's riff is one thing, but I think riff is staying more or less consistently throughout the whole
Yeah.
whole time.
Well, yeah, and also too, based on, you said you had other influences as well. I almost think that makes the riff even more potent because you're throwing in like synth and folk elements and all these elements, and then all of a sudden here comes in this amazing melodic riff that kind of goes, oh, oh, it's like a jolt.
Yeah, you have to be aware of the contrasts because it has much more effect when something is not on 100% or for the whole time, but you need to have some different dynamics because that's how it works better. And so
Yeah.
I tried to, with Alpha, with the previous album, I tried to make a more metal focused record, and but I didn't manage to pull out 100% because I still have some interludes and some different instruments that break the because otherwise for me I'm not able to to pull out the full 100% metal album. because it just bores me at the end. So it has to have its its momentum, and the important parts need to stand out. But in order to be able to stand out, you cannot always use the same riffs and the heaviness all the time, because otherwise it won't be heavy anymore. If it's heavy all the time, it's not heavy.
Do you remember when you were young and you first heard like metal, right?
Yeah.
You kind of you love the heavy, right? And you're not really thinking about the emotion or maybe even the lyrics, but you're listening to, wow, this sounds sick, this sounds heavy. But as you get older, you can kind of be bored of that, kind of like what you said. And it's like you need not bored of the metal, but you start to realize that you need something that has a deeper emotion. Maybe it's a contrast of
Yeah, you need
transition.
contrast. I think that's my view, that you need some contrast to enjoy darkness. You need some light, and to enjoy light, you need some darkness, because
Mm,
only these two work together.
yeah. Yeah, I found like when I first listened to metal, it was just like, oh cool. I just want heavy galloping riffs. And now I've listened to so much metal in my older age, that I'm just like, you know, I need metal. I'm always gonna love metal. But man, I've grown to enjoy so many other things. And honestly, I love if a song can make me cry, I love that. I love if a song can hit me on an emotional level where I'm just like, whether it be just amazing lyrics or sometimes the music is just so well written that it's emotional like that. Oh, that's awesome to me.
And the music is emotion, so that's what you have to express. You express emotions, so this is
Mhm.
how it works, and it's a good thing when it works.
Yeah. Oh, so I wanted to ask you before we get rolling, man. The album is coming out soon. How are you feeling about everything?
About the release, or about the
Everything, man.
album.
I want to know how you're
I'm
feeling.
very, very busy these times. I mean, the album will be released in 2 days, 2 or 3
Yeah.
days,
Hmm.
and we will have a double gig in Budapest like the week after,
Hmm.
and we have to rehearse a lot, and there's so many things to do, and it's just overwhelming. Sorry. So
Yeah.
I'm kept busy all the
Yeah.
time. So I
And
don't I don't feel anything. I just need to get through the days.
yeah. Hopefully you're finding some moments of rest in between where you can.
Yeah, I think I will have some rest after the gigs, after the show,
Yeah.
in the end of November. I plan to do nothing for a couple of days at least. It's
That's
gonna
the
be fun.
best.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
So when you're not making music,
Hmm?
what are some of the hobbies you're into?
Well, not much time left. I was I was I was very much into photography for a while, but these days I don't have any energy or time for that anymore. But I still enjoy photography, and I like arts in general. So it's consuming art, if it's not a nice word for that, but just to read about it and to enjoy art in general. And
Yeah.
I think this is my interest, and I think it influences my music as well, because everything is connected in in the field of art. So that's what I like to do. I like hiking, and I like going on trips to the nature. But I think that's normal. Most people like it. So nothing very special.
Yeah, I feel like most artistic souls are really drawn to nature heavily, and
Yeah, yeah. Especially
I,
if you
I
live in the middle of a city.
oh yeah. Yeah. Now you come from like a little town. Was
Hmm?
that town heavily nature influenced or
It was middleweight, I would say,
Mhm.
in that sense. It's still. I go there every week. I go back now because of different reasons, and my family is still there. I visit them often, and I like the town itself, and it's very much closer to the nature
Yeah.
than, for example, Budapest, which is the capital. So I enjoy going back, even though the air is different, and you can sense the difference as soon as you step out the vehicle, and it's a different world.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious. The picture that's behind you on the wall,
All right.
I'm getting like Tower of Babel or what?
Yeah, I know it's whatever you want to see into it. It's a painting, and I think it's not even a painting; it's a drawing actually, and it was featured on the reissue of my first album, Subliminal Tragedies. It was, but in blue. That's the original, but on the album cover it's blue. I think it's a bit better that way, and it was drawn by Daniel Martin Diaz, who is a famous artist, and he he was drawing that for me.
That's amazing. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I was wondering if, yeah, that's awesome. Speaking of album covers, this album cover is so there's such a feel of brightness, but also a little bit of like melancholy.
Mhm.
What's what's the inspiration or the story behind the album cover?
Well, if you saw the video, this picture is taken from the video itself. It's one frame. It's taken from the video.
Oh,
So,
I believe I've done one review of one of your videos, and you've dropped another one I'm gonna do and upload.
okay. And this is the title song. If you listen to the title song of the album,
Mhm.
and the name is A gyönyörű álmok ezután jönnek, just for your information, you'll never hear it again. And that's from that video. And it is just a still image from the video itself. And it was not planned to be put on the cover, but when I saw that scene, I I, I liked it very much, and I thought that would be a nice image on the cover because there's this very nice young woman in the middle of a field, and the field it's autumn. I know that we recorded the video in the end of October, and it's autumn, and it was like the colors are very yellow and brown
Mhm.
autumnal colors, and but the lady is in white, and it's sort of a symbol of for me it's symbol of purity and hope, but everything around her is just marching into death because we are going into winter because it's autumn now. So sort of duality, but still a glimpse of hope in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting like talking about that because autumn is like bittersweet. It's my favorite time of the year. I love autumn, and I like winter, but up here I need snow. If it's just brutal cold, it's just like,
Mhm.
okay, listen, snow brings beauty, but it's like it's bittersweet because everything is dying, but you
Mhm.
know it's about to be reborn in a
Yeah, yeah.
couple months.
Yes, I really like autumn as well. It's my favorite season, if I can say so. And unfortunately, it's not that long anymore. In Hungary, we had like three months of autumn, but now it is getting shorter because of the climate change. And I think we're losing a lot of things with losing autumn.
I agree. I've noticed even over here, on the East Coast, we used to have really long, cool autumns. And
Mhm.
now, like just the other day, it was 70 degrees outside. And I'm like, we're in the middle of November and it's
Yeah,
70
yeah, yeah.
degrees and it's just wild.
Yeah, I miss autumn. That's something that is really that was a very nice part of my youth.
Yeah. Yeah, I always tell people that autumn has always been a great I almost feel like it's good for my mental health because if I don't like being really hot, and if I walk
Mhm.
outside, I can tell when autumn is coming because there's a crispness in the air, there's a cool feeling, and I will immediately feel happy. I will be like,
Mhm. Okay, yeah.
oh, it's
Similar,
awesome,
similar
man.
with me as well. Yeah.
So I was kind of curious, man, because I know you were a librarian. You've been just surrounded by so much things of art and expression. I know that I also know that you probably draw inspiration from all types of things. In your opinion, what is something, what is like the oddest thing that has inspired you in like a big way? Maybe
Hmm.
something that would be considered odd to somebody else.
Hmm. I'm not sure. I mean, there's nothing very special or nothing very weird about me and my life. It's very average, but I think it's, for example, I have some sort of weird feeling for trains,
Trees,
trains, trains,
trains.
trains. But I'm not that kind of guy, who knows everything about trains, the train lines and the schedules and the train models. I don't care about that. But traveling on a train, on a coach, I think that's for me it's very exciting still.
Hmm.
I think it brings back my childhood, or I don't know why, but I'm attracted to sitting on a train and traveling from one point to another. And I also like rain very much for some
Hmm.
unknown reason. And these two have been a big influence on me. And I think they appear a lot of time in the music and the lyrics of Folk and my other projects as well. And I embraced it. And now I'm doing it on purpose. I put trains and rain in lyrics because that's what it is. I like that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I have always wanted to ride on a train. I'm trying to plan a trip to Europe next year,
Mhm.
and I'm making it a point that because I want to go to some different countries, and I'm like I gotta ride a train because I've never ridden on one, and I
In the US, I think train is not a big thing. You don't have
no.
not many lines, but in Europe, it has a history.
Yeah, I think we just got the Amtrak, and it's kind of like you get on and then you're at the next place in like a second. It's not really no, but it's not like the old school looking.
Well, we have very old school trains here, and that's a problem actually because they are too old school by now. It can be an issue, and it is an issue, but never mind.
No, man, I love it, dude. I was when I sit down and like plan these things out, I really try to I don't try to approach because obviously this is the first time you and I talked. We don't know what kind of energy we're gonna feel, and I know that you probably have lots of conversations, and I try to think of, I try to let things flow organically because at the end of the day, I want you to be comfortable and to be able to talk about whatever you want to talk about because people want to know about you, your album and everything. And um so I love hearing like what you care about and what fascinates you.
Mhm.
Um I was thinking of this one thing because of your long history of music and creation. We obviously some things might stay the same, but as your music has grown and how you have allowed influences to come in, what has what is something that you can kind of like maybe think of that has changed in you as a person drastically? Maybe an ideology or a belief from when you started to where you are today.
I hope things have changed. I really hope so, and I'm sure about that. But I, for example, when making music, it has not changed a lot. The general attitude. When we started making music, started this band in 1998.
Mhm.
It was, the main idea was just recording music, creating songs, recording them, and then start again. And that was it. It was nothing else, basically. Just recording, making some demo tapes. We made a demo tape first, and then there was a guy who who released the first album, and then it was albums, not demos anymore. But that was everything. And then we didn't play any live gig. We did nothing. We were just writing songs and recorded them for, I don't know, 20 years. Nothing there. That was all. And still, this is my main motive and my main driving force to create things. And now that we play live as well, because there's a live incarnation of the bands for the last 3 years, and it's getting bigger and it's very exciting to be part of this kind of think that we play a lot of big festivals and we have tours and we play big shows now. Was not so big, but bigger than I expected anyway. And it's a total different thing, and I enjoy it tremendously. But the main thing is to create music, and that's my most important goal, and this is what I enjoy the most. And and it has not changed a lot at all since the very beginnings. So I think there are some minor changes, and I'm sure that I was I was growing up. Of course, it has been more than 26 years now, and that's a lot of time. And I do hope that I have changed, and I'm sure I did. But I don't really think about this. And when I think about music, it has not really changed. I mean, the attitude, the music, of course, has changed because when we started, it was more black metal, more like straight black metal. But throughout the years, more colors came in, and it's now like I don't know, a field with different flowers, and there are many colors, and it has changed a lot. Yes, of course. So when you listen to the first album and you listen to the latest one, of course, it's like two different bands.
Mm,
But our roots, the roots are the same, and it's the riff.
yeah, the riff. I
Yeah, the
love
riff.
that.
Yeah.
What was your first exposure to black metal? What band?
I think it was the second wave of Norwegian black metal in 1990. I was in real time, so it was 1993, 2, 3, 4. That's when I first encountered black metal, and this is when those bands started playing black metal, like Immortal and Burzum and Mayhem. Mayhem was a bit earlier, but when I first listened to them, it was Mayhem and Dark Throne and Impaled Nazarene and Enslaved, Emperor, these Satyricon. They were all these second wave Norwegian black metal bands, yeah. And I think that was 1993, 4.
Do you remember do you remember the song that just hooked
Yes.
you?
Yes, it was the third Burzum album. That was Taros. And this is one of my favorite albums all the time because the atmosphere is like undescribable, and it's chilling. It's some just two or three notes all together, the first song, and it's that everything is in there. So I think this is my first encounter with black metal, and I think it was a good encounter because it's good music.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to go and listen to it because I think I think one of the most beautiful things about life is the conversation of, you know, when we talk about music,
Mhm,
what was that song that you heard that just went and like for me, I grew up in the country and my father was a gospel singer
mhm,
and I didn't know I didn't know electric guitar. I grew up gospel music and and I was in Boy Scouts and I was in the car going to our meeting and my friend's brother put on Metallica and I was
mhm.
12 years old and I remember he put in Master of Puppets and he went to Master of Puppets and the first it was like it was like an out of body experience. I heard that crushing intro to Master and I was like, what is this? And it was like a light switch of just
Yeah. Yes, I have a similar experience because when I listened to Burzum for the first time, of course I've already known metal. It was just a
mhm,
different kind of metal, and
mhm.
I didn't have any idea that it is you can play something like this as well within the realm of metal. But my first exposure, I remember it quite vividly because I was like, I don't know, like 14 or something, and we had MTV at that time. It was a new thing in Hungary because it
Mhm.
was when the Iron Curtain just fell, and all of a sudden, all the Western TV channels were available. So it was a very new thing, and I remember that it was on a Sunday night, and my parents were already sleeping, and I was watching TV, and I was about to just to go to sleep as well. And then I just switched to MTV, and then it was Headbangers Ball, the
Oh.
European one. I think it was quite different to the US one. The European one was very high quality, and it was massive back then. I didn't know about it but at the time, but it was Slayer on. It was
Mm-hmm.
the Raining Blood live video from Decade of Aggression.
Mm-hmm.
And you know the one with the red lights in there's this intro, and then they're on stage, and I was mesmerized. I didn't know what the hell was that. But I remember it was so grasping. I still remember the moment that I am just watching the TV, and then these people, I didn't even realize what was that. It was people or what, because it was just the red lights and the silhouettes of musicians, but they were looking like so alien to me, and then the music was like absolutely hellish. But I enjoyed it very, very much, and that's the first time I remember listening to this kind of music, and it is still with me because that's still my favorite. It's very, very it's very interesting that your first impressions last throughout your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
You just cannot forget it. It's just like a stamp or something just put in your skin, and it's like burned in your skin, and you just bear it throughout the whole life. Your first impressions of something with big impact.
Yeah, it's interesting because I the Metallica was my exposure to metal, but I had a hard time with gutturals and growls.
Mm-hmm.
I really did not like it. And then when I was in high school, a friend of mine, we were at a anime shop. We would go and get anime and whatever, and it was down in Texas. And he was a big metalhead. He was way more advanced in his taste than I was. Because I was like, when I like something, I don't want to listen to anything else. So I
Mm-hmm.
was really kind of closed-minded to experiencing something new because Metallica was the best to me.
Yeah.
And I remember getting in his truck and he goes, "Hey man, have you ever heard of Opeth?" And I was like, "No, I don't know what that is." And he plays Master's Apprentice from Deliverance. And I remember again, it was a very similar experience. And when I heard those growls that Michael could do, and I
Mm-hmm.
went, I remember sitting in a truck and I was like, what is this? This was like, it was like again, a same similar experience. And then how he is so brutal and devastating with his growls. And then he transitions into such a beautiful, clean singing voice. I
Yeah,
was like,
I had much rougher experience with my first exposure with growling was Napalm Death and
oh,
Obituary back in 1993 or something, and that was
mhm.
more shocking because there was no clean singing after the growlings. It was growlings only, like
Yeah.
growls. And for first, it was shocking because I was listening to Testament and Metallica as well at the time, Megadeth, and the thrash metal, and that was like, gee, Jesus, that's too much. That's too much. But after like 2 weeks, I was already like listening to the Napalm discography back and forth because it didn't take me like more than 2 weeks, and I was
That's
just into death metal completely.
Oh man, that's awesome, dude. I love how I tell everybody, I believe anybody can get into any genre of music. You just need the right doorway to walk through. You
Yeah,
know, f for me, it was Opeth. That was what helped me get into a heavier form of metal. And it's funny now because I do music as well. And it's funny those early influences, they are a part of you. So like I started with thrash, but I'm very heavy in death metal and black metal. And with writing music, I'm like, okay, I love death metal. We do growls, but we need to have some thrashy galloping riffs just to get that scratch. I need, like you with the riff,
yeah.
I need a good thrashy riff. You know what I mean? Ooh, that feels good.
That's what you were growing up with. So this is
Yeah.
an ingredient that you need.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I wanted to ask you one last question before we end this, man. What is on this album? I know you love all the songs, but what is one song you really can't wait for everybody to hear? What's the one song?
Well, I have no such song, but I know that I really like because of its weirdness is Wakond. That's an instrumental song, and
Oh,
it's nothing like metal. It's like a cartoon music, and I very much enjoyed making it because it was. I think that's the heaviest one because it's not heavy at all. It's like the antithesis of heavy, but I think it's heavy in the in the sense that you would never put a song like that in a metal album because it's so silly and it means mole. You know the animal that is in the ground just digging
yeah, the mole.
mole. Yeah, and in Hungarian it's vakond, so that's the title of it.
Welcome. Welcome.
Yeah. So I really enjoy that song and I know and I'm sure that half of the listeners would hate it because it's so different. But I tend to like very weird songs now.
Oh man, all that matters is are you happy with it? That's how I
I'm absolutely happy and I'm very happy that I dared to make it and put it on the album because it was a big step,
well, I
even for
can't wait.
me, even for me.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it, man. I will say this last thing, man, is the video that I watched with you running.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember sitting there watching that video and I said to myself, I could tell right away that you were like you had an eye for film and everything because that video you had some really great images captured like with the two guys holding up the one guy and then the camera pans in kind of on the guys. You had some really brilliant filming done in that video.
Yeah, but to be fair, it's not me. So there was two guys, Notable Films. That's the name of the company. That's two guys like me, and they were editing and they were recording, and we worked on the ideas together, the three of us. But I think most of the editing and most of the shooting is absolutely their product, and they are the
Yeah.
ones who who need to be praised because they did it.
Yeah, and I remember looking at the video. I said, "This video is amazing! Like, it was so awesome."
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it,
they're very talented, and you can check the rest of their work because they are on YouTube and they make videos for other Hungarian bands, and they're very talented
oh,
and
I will look into it,
good
man. I
videos
loved
too.
it. And, hey, thank you, man, so much for just taking a little bit of time out of your day. I know life is hectic and busy. Um, I don't take this for granted. You spending time and just talking.
No worries. Oh, come on, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. I was just
Yeah.
saying things, but man, thank you very much for having me, and it was a nice, very nice discussion. I was
Yeah,
enjoying it.
man. I appreciate it, dude. If you ever talk to anybody from Season
Okay.
of Mist normally kind of is they'll send people my way, say, "Hey, do you want to talk to them or whatever?" I just started doing interviews this year. I'm very fresh. And so hopefully you had a good time. If there's anything I can improve on,
No,
if
of course,
there
it was fine. Don't worry about that. No, no, it was good. Just do your
oh,
thing. It's fine. Absolutely.
excellent, man. Excellent. I appreciate it, man. I can't wait for the new album and we'll stay in touch, dude.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Have a great one. Thank you.